This is Gary Shaw from Bray Wanderers, and you're watching Irish Footy Vlogs. Please subscribe to the channel.
Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to, I suppose, the last First Division preview show of the season. There will be a playoff special, of course, but all the games are down for decision on Friday night. They mean nothing, let's be honest about it, Stas. They mean absolutely nothing. Everything's sorted. Champions sorted. Playoff places sorted. There might be a bit of scrambling for positions in the playoffs. Galway are definitely getting second. UCD are definitely getting third, no matter what happens. The only thing that's down for decision really is Bray and Treaty, who's going to finish ahead there. But so we'll just give our predictions, guys, actually. And we'll talk about Ian Morris a little bit during the Shelburne UCD segment. But first of all, Athlone and Cobh, who are you going for here, Daz?
Yeah, I know. It's great that we're this far in the season, and well done to any teams in the playoffs, and best of luck to anyone that supports them teams. Athlone and Cobh, for me, has a draw written all over it, really. Neither team has anything to play for. Athlone being lucky that they didn't get enough points this season to reach playoffs. They weren't too far off the mark. I do think they have a better team than Cobh. Cobh have been poor this season, poor enough. We've touched on that many a time. Defensively, they're poor. Athlone have a few standout better individuals, but I'd be looking at, I'd be looking at an Athlone win, a 1-0 win, I think. I think Athlone have enough quality to get a win here. I think Athlone getting a win here, yeah.
I'll go for the draw. Cabinteely and Treaty. Now, as I said, Treaty technically can finish below Bray, which would mean they'd end up playing Galway with away from home. So they probably don't want that. So, you know, I'm not saying that they want UCD necessarily either. They get who they get. But I think I'd rather travel to UCD than travel to Galway in their shoes. So I don't see them playing a weekend 11 or anything here against Cabinteely. So I think they might go to Stradbrook and get the win here, actually, Treaty.
Yeah, I actually think it'd be a straightforward enough win. I think they'd be confident enough to go in there and get a win. And Cabinteely have been poor this season as well. Like, just haven't been at the races at all from what they were previous seasons. And what a season Treaty has had during the playoffs, no one really predicted this one. And like you said there, I would rather be playing UCD too than Galway. Galway have a lot of seasoned pros in their teams, ex-Premier Division players and senior players, whereas UCD are a bunch of with respect students who are inexperienced, who are very, very young, but they've done ever so well to be in playoffs too. Like, so each, if it's Galway or UCD, it's going to be very hard to play either or for them. And, all they can do is go in and do their very, very best. No one expects them to be where they're at, so they're going to be playing pressure free, really. People would have expected Galway to be up where they are. People would have had, their money on UCD to be kind of where they are at as well. So the pressure's on them. It's not really on Treaty, but I would be expecting the Treaty win. And yeah, if I was to pick either, I'd be picking UCD as well.
Yeah, I mean, Cork City played Galway at Turner's Cross. It's their last game of the season, Cork, in front of their home fans. Galway are definitely finished in second. They can win this 5-0. They can lose it 5-0. They're finished in second. So I do see Galway resting some players. There's certainly players that they might feel, he's a bit of a knock there. There's no point risking him, or key players. So for that reason, I think Cork actually might take them in this one, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. They've got second place sorted. Like you said, nothing's going to happen if they win, draw, or lose this one. There's absolutely no point in risking your best players, your most dangerous players, and your most reliable players in this one. I don't think there is. They should be giving their chances now to younger up-and-coming players, or players that haven't really got much of a chance this season to prove like they can play for Galway, to play for Galway. And I would be expecting them to make changes this one. Cork would obviously go with a full strength team. They've nothing to lose, really. They're down where they're at. They're obviously nothing to play for either, bar they probably won't give either players a run out, but they're going to want to finish as strong as they can, and they're going to want to try and test themselves anyway against Galway. And it's the last game for them, so they're going to want to go out with a high anyway in front of their home fans. Obviously, it's got a really big, following, bigger in recent times, but hopefully that will come up for Cork. But I'd actually think this will be a draw. I don't think Cork would have enough quality to win the game against Galway, and I do expect Galway to make 5 or 6 changes to this team, and I do think Cork gets up and over, yeah.
Wexford take on Bray, and Bray will know going into the game that potentially 3 points could put them into 4th place. Again, I'm not sure what kind of difference it makes in reality, but Wexford obviously finishing the season rather very, very strongly under Ian Ryan. I think Wexford might get something here, actually. I'm going to go for a draw, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Like Wexford have, the form's kind of been up and down, obviously recently this season, but they've done a lot better than previous seasons, and a lot of the loan players they've brought in have done very, very well for them. Like obviously Jack Mylan off balls is one that I'm raving about. He's been in the goals and assists a lot this season. He's doing ever so well there, and he'll want to go in and try and put on a performance in their last game of the season there and show what he can do. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him come up with a goal or an assist now, and it'll be great him coming at the balls, and he's going to be a more experienced player, more well-rounded player. And if he goes out alone again, is another question. But yeah, I can definitely see Wexford getting something out of this game. Like, again, they're playing pressure-free, but, so are Bray. Like, they've not really to play for either. I could see Bray obviously making changes for this game like Galway. I know if I was the manager, I certainly wouldn't be playing my consistent players and my best players and my top goal scorers on the bench, yes, but wouldn't be starting them. There's absolutely no need to. Everything's sorted. Like I said, there's nothing to worry about. It's not going to really make much of a difference. I'd definitely be going with a weakened side anyway. And Wexford obviously put in a full strength side and wanting to finish the season high as well. So I could see this being a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, and we'll finish up with Shelburne home to UCD, and we'll get the game out of the way first because there's bigger news obviously coming from Shelburne. And again, it means nothing this game. UCD are going to finish third regardless of the result. Shelburne are going to be our champions rather, regardless of the result. Ironically, if Shelburne were to lose, let's say, and Galway were to win, in the end, Galway would only finish 2 points behind Shelburne, which is actually mad when you think about it. But obviously, Shelburne slowed up at the end as well, but just shows Galway's form has improved. But I think the game itself is just going to be changed galore from both teams. I probably see a draw personally, but obviously the big news, Ian Morris has left the club. What do you think of that, Daz?
Yeah, there's a lot of people saying they're not surprised, but I am. Like his record was something like 66% win rate, and he's won 2 league titles with them. And excuse your budget, but like still winning 2 league titles with a team is really, really good work. And say I'm a bit disappointed that he's gone. Like he's a young up and coming manager and he's left. But Sherwood obviously want to go a different direction. They've got different plans in mind. There's a few other big heads linked with the job. The likes of, as everyone knows about Damien Duff, has been linked with the job, and a few other managers, people will start, their heads will start turning and seeing who's been linked with the job. It obviously is going to be a massive job coming up in the Premier Division. Sherborne are going to want to stay up, and they'll have a budget, and they'll be able to bring in players, certainly. So whoever manager comes in will definitely be able to shake up the team and bring in a few players, unlike other teams that's come up and, like, so let's say Longford hadn't really got a budget, had to stay with the same team. Sherborne will have a budget. They probably will be mostly full-time. That have you brave to bring in players, but I'm just a bit surprised Morris left. Like, I don't really see why he would have left. Sherborne were playing pretty okay. Like, they were hard to beat and they were winning lots of games to win the league. But that was a mad stat there to show up that if Galway were to win, they were only 2 points behind them. Like, when you're talking about Sherborne in first division, that wouldn't really spring to your head. Subconsciously, you wouldn't really be thinking Galway were actually that close to them. So. It's not like they ran away with the league either, in a way, like where they were 10, 12 points free at the end of the season either. But
I suppose when it matters, they were, though, weren't they? They won the league. And
yeah, true.
When they won the league, they were that kind of gap ahead. So, you do see the gap reducing sometimes. But I think as well, though, from, there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. I'm not surprised he's gone, by the way. Doesn't mean I agree with it, by the way. I'm just not surprised because I never felt they were fully convinced for some reason, or the relationship was spot on there between him and the board and stuff like that. I mean, he left the club, but it's not as straightforward as that. Like, he didn't just leave the club. There was obviously some kind of a mutual thing that went on there. And, I just felt, I actually did say that a few weeks ago that, no, I didn't think he'd be gone by now, but I felt, it's my feeling that if a couple of results went pear-shaped next season, I felt immediately he'd be gone. I just felt he was always on thin ice, rightly or wrongly. And he's been brilliant this season, as you said. 2 promotions, 1 defeat all season, up to the point they won the league. Forget about the defeat to Cobh. 2 promotions. Shelburne have been mostly struggling in the first division over the last 10 years. We're honest about it. But there's something from the time they got relegated last year, there's still a bit of uneasiness there since that scenario. And I wasn't surprised. And obviously, there's more to this than meets the eye. It's not straightforward as him he hasn't just walked out in the club or anything like that. But look, I think he done a great job this season. You can't deny he did a great job this season. 1 defeat up to that point, as I mentioned before, winning the league easily in the end. We can talk about budgets, etc. True, but Galway had a big budget as well, and they finished second. You still have to manage the team. And I know some people have said, I'm not saying every single Shelbourne fan has said this, but some people have complained about the tactics. But for me, how can you complain about the tactics if you're winning a league? I mean, you don't have to, if it's seen as a bit defensive or counter-attacking, so what? That done the job. So that's irrelevant. I mean, not everyone plays like Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp or whatever. Like, you've managers, if you want to go down that road, like Antonio Conte, he might be the most attacking manager, but it works, it's effective. And Shelbourne were pretty much a very good counter-attacking side this year with a very, very good defensive record. And he won the league easily. I don't think there's even a tiny smidgen of criticism he deserves, though. Not even a little bit.
Definitely. Like you said, up to the point when they won the league, took the foot off the gas a bit then, but up to that point, there was times where Shelbourne were untouchable. Like, they went on that tremendous run of not losing any games at all. And they'd done that previously in the year they went up with Mars as well. Like, they had that unbelievable run with him too, with no losses. So I do find it a bit, I don't know, people saying, "Oh, I don't like his tactics." Like, would you like to be scoring 4 goals every game but not winning and be finishing third and going, "Oh, we played great football, but we didn't win"?
Also, it's very unrealistic to go out winning 4 or 5-0 every week, no matter what team you are. And as well as that, who's to say that if you played in such a way that Shelbourne were more open, that they would have done as well this season? Now, we don't know that, absolutely. But the fact is, he done a good enough job to get them to the point of promoting very, very comfortably as league champions. So, obviously there's other stuff going on behind the scenes, etc., etc. They're looking at other managers. Vinnie Perth is hotly tipped to get the job. You mentioned Duff, but Perth has been hotly tipped. And look, it might work out for them. And if it does, great stuff. But right or wrongly, I think Morris did a fantastic job this year. And I don't think that can be denied at all.
No, definitely not. And it's he's got 2 promotions for them, 2 league titles for them. Like, what more could you possibly want? Your team won the league. They were the best team in the league. They scored the most amount of goals, I believe, as well. Like, so
UCD did actually, Daz, but UCD, they were up there.
Best defensive record, wasn't it? And they had so. What more can he actually do? Like, you can't be going out, as you said, winning 3 or 4. It just doesn't happen for any team. Like, it just doesn't happen. They won the league by a good margin. They had the League One a few weeks ago. Like, what more would you actually want as a fan? Like, he's done everything expected and more, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But guys, if you're a Shelbourne fan in particular, let us know what you think about this little debate, and are we right or wrong, or who's right or who's wrong in general. And I suppose let us know what you think about any other game this weekend. The First Division in general, because it's the last game of the weekend or the last game of the season. Are you confident in the playoffs, etc.? Like the video, subscribe if you're new, hit your bell notification button, and thanks for watching, guys.